paper. I am Brianna, and I am so excited to being back with Stamp It Like It's Hot, where we have different prompts each month to use our stamps. This month is a little bit different in that it's using a household item to stamp with. So we're not using our stamps, but we are using our ink. The other thing I am still trying to complete is Christy's Beautiful Life and her 30 Days of Sketches, which was from, oh, I'm losing my months now. Maybe it was from May. Maybe it was from June. I think it was from June. So still playing along in July. Now it is August. But I have a sketch here from Sarah Davies, and it's got this little shelf up here and then a little cluster down here. I am using photos that I took when we were in New Mexico. This is my husband, this is our friend, and I'm going to use these photos, 3.5 by 4, and I'm gonna embellish around here. And then I found this in my stash, and I'm not totally sure about it, but I really like it and I want to use it. What I do have is papers from Photo Play. It's Camp Happy Bear, and I just have some pieces from that. Whoa. So a couple of pieces from that, and this is a Simple Stories Snap Basics, the wood grain. So I've got these here, and then the other thing I have is some frames and tags from Echo Park. This is Summer Adventure. And so I picked out the ones that kind of had to do with camping. Not camping, because we weren't camping, but kind of hiking and nature. I also have from Stickabilities, I have these green pieces. I don't think I'm going to use the axe, but I do have lots of shoe marks from hiking. So these are all the pieces I'm going to be working with. What I'm going to do as far as stamping is my household item is leaves, and I went into my yard. So I hope that counts. This one's rather big. I think I've already ruled this one out. This one's a good size, but I didn't want to keep picking leaves off of my flowers. So then I found a weed. And you get lots of leaves, so that like if one gets too saturated, I can move to the next. And there's a couple different sizes, so I'm kind of excited to use that. When I initially saw it on Pinterest that you could kind of stamp with those, they used some paint. So I did get out my metallic paint. It's pure gold. Not sure that this is what I'm going to use. I'd prefer to use one of my stamp pads. These are nice and juicy. I like to use them for stamping. It's Catherine Pooler. And I just kind of grabbed out 3. All That Jazz, Tiki Torch, which is a little bit too orange, but I think will work. And if nothing else, black. So I've got my options here. I do reserve the right to change my mind on the background paper and find something else. And I also, what I did was I grabbed out, I've got 8.5 by 11 cardstock. And so I grabbed this out so that I'm gonna start with this to see what these leaves look like in some of these colors. So before I put them on my page, I'll know if that's something I want to use. So now that I've got everything assembled, let's get scrapping. So like I said I was going to do, I take a leaf and I try it in the that Tiki Torch color, and it's pretty, but I'm not sure that it's gonna work. So I then tried All That Jazz, and then I decide from there which one I want to use. At this point, I don't think I'm totally sold on what color I want to use. So I do go ahead and cut the strips. I use both those papers that I had, and I kind of just place them there as placeholders right now. I know that there's probably enough once I trim it down to do that other cluster on the bottom. So I also cut the wood grain, and I think that one gets cut a little thicker. I go all the way across, and I think I cut 2 strips. not knowing how much I was going to need. I do find a border punch. In the sketch, you can see it's kind of like a scallop. When I grabbed the border punch that I decided on, I thought it looked like mountains. So I wasn't sure how I was going to do that, if it was going to go kind of like mountains or if it was going to go upside down. And you'll see in a moment that they're kind of like upside down mountains, but it gives that more of the scallop feel to it. So I lay it down both ways, kind of trying to figure out, I don't know which way I want it to go, but I think you could see the paper, the underlying paper better if it's the scallop rather than the mountains. So that brown piece says the great outdoors, and the wood thing, the wood piece, the wood veneer, the round piece on top says hello there. And then on the bottom, oh, and that piece says what is life but one grand adventure. And then on the bottom, I got a couple different pieces, and right now I'm working on what can back that, because that wood frame is bigger than what that one piece is that says get lost, and it needs something to fill that hole. So I spend a lot of time trying to layer things to go in that space. And I just left some of this in so you could see, you know, it's not necessarily automatic that you find exactly what you want. And it's a lot of kind of just moving them around, playing with different pieces, seeing what works, trying something different to figure out what belongs there. I actually found a different collection of frames and tags from something else. Those didn't work either. Oh, so I do find that one piece, but there's a tent. I don't know if you can see that yellow in the middle, and that's a tent. And I thought the trees could stick out from the top, but I didn't, it was the right size, but I just didn't want that yellow tent there. So with the wood veneer layered over the top, then you don't see the tent. So I think it is at this point where I decide, yep, it's going to be all that jazz, because it's kind of got that. Once I stamped onto the white cardstock, it wasn't as vibrant maybe as what I thought it was going to be, so I thought it could match with this background and the elements, ephemera, I want to call them, all the pieces. I thought it would look okay. And I do like the way it turns out. And, you know, when you're stamping with a leaf or anything else, turn it. You know, you don't want it going the same direction every time. And I pulled out my weeding tool, my Cricut weeding tool, because I didn't want to smudge the image. So by using that Cricut weeding tool, I can lift the leaf up without the possibility of me moving the stamp with my fingers, if that makes sense, the leaf with my fingers. I just wanted to be careful of that. And eventually I'm like getting ink on my fingers, so I want to be careful not to get that extra ink on the paper. And I was successful with that. After the first couple of stamps, I did note that there's still a lot of ink on that leaf, so you can do the second generation. I don't know if you know what second generation is, but you don't have to re-ink the stamp, or the leaf in this case, every time. It was so nicely inked up. You can see right there. I inked it once, I laid it down. It almost looks almost the same with a second stamp of it. So I just keep going. So here's the third generation. And I do it a couple more times because it just keeps stamping. And, you know, the more you do it, almost the better you can see the veining. And it gets different. You know, you don't have the same stamped image every time. So I like how that turned out. I will be interested to see, there will be a playlist below with everyone that's playing along for not only the Stamp It Like It's Hot, but also the 30 Days of Sketches that I'm a couple months late with. So check those out below. But I'll be interested to see what other household items people are using to stamp with. And there, again, you can see me turning the leaf so that I don't get the same exact image every time it's turning. And you get a different perspective from each of the leaves. Makes it more interesting. And then I do believe I'm going to lay those pieces in the bottom, those layering pieces that I've already cut. And I do get the photos down so that you can see in the sketch, I think they were probably backed with paper, which I did not do, which I don't often do on my layouts. But one is up higher, the one on the left is up higher, the one on the right is down lower, so I did try to do that a little bit. And because I had more overlapping room on the right, I put that one underneath. And then I am going to put some glue on that paper and sneak it in there. I think I probably checked it first without the glue just to make sure that's how I wanted it before I put the liquid glue onto it. And once I get the green piece down, I will go for that blue piece and trim that and get that arranged and take the liquid glue for that as well. And I think it's on this piece that, I think I cut it crooked. So if you bend it over to make it perpendicular, you can get a better, I got a better bend in it and a straight cut then. I just followed the bend, if that makes sense. I don't even know if I'm making sense anymore, but let me know if you have any questions. I can explain it better maybe, hopefully. So there goes that second layering piece on there. And then I will get the I don't know if you'd call that the title. There go my upside down. Well, I'm still deciding, do I want it that way? Do I want it that way? And it kind of looks like mountains if you get the reverse of it. If you look at the white space, the negative space of it, still looks like mountains. So, and I think for a man page, I like to use these more harsher lines, I guess I would call them, rather than the what I would say is more feminine scallops, but I don't think anyone would be offended by feminine scallops on a man's page either. That's just the way my brain works, though. So there goes that piece, and that's really the only red piece in there, but I'm okay with that as well. So here goes, oh, and I'm just using liquid glue for the back of that wood veneer. That wood veneer, I believe, is from Joann's. It was in a whole packet. So that you can color with, some paint, even a marker, but I did just leave it the wood color. And then I use those boot prints. I start on the cluster in the right lower corner and then cover it up with that Let's Get Lost. I'm going to glue down the wood veneer piece. In the process of moving it around, it's not all in one piece anymore. It's kind of bent, but with a little glue onto the page, you can never tell. And there goes the other boot tracks. There go the upside down mountains. And I do believe I get that couple other, oh, nope, that was the only one. I didn't have a lot of room to work down there. And so instead of layering at the paper, no, I do put paper pieces in. Sure enough, there it is. Okay. But I didn't use too many. I just used the blue, I believe, and then the scallop there. And the leaves are still peeking out of there, so all is good. And then I want to make sure I've got all my pieces parts. So now it's more of the embellishing part. And I decide I want to use this tag, and it's like a campfire lantern. And so I just tuck it there for the time being. These are Simple Stories chipboard, and they don't actually make the page, but I was thinking about it. Okay, so these stickers are from Jilly Bean Soup, and I got them on clearance somewhere, and I'm not sure if it was Cherry on Top or where I got those from. But there was lots of tags or labels in the sketch, and these worked well with the color, so I tucked those in there, and I'll get the date on there. And then I used some of that wood grain to be a banner, and then I also use some of that fish paper to be a banner as well. And I think I just really lay that up there just to see how it's going to look. And then the fish paper, I was going to try to trim it while it's on the photo. And then all of a sudden I'm like, well, how about I just bend it over and tuck it behind? So I did, and I just gave it a little bit more glue behind there, and it worked good. This banner is cut to size already, so that goes right on there. Then I get my LA Studio stickers out, and they're puffy stickers, and there's some of them are kind of chipboard, but there's lots of hearts and stars and kind of dots, and none of them were really the color I wanted, except for those there was like 2 chipboard star stickers, so I ended up using 2 of those. And then I wanted to kind of do a visual triangle, so I did take a green heart and put it up there in that cluster. And then I will add in a white dot on top of the green star. And then I put some fiber, just some jute into my tag, and I think that's it. So like I said, make sure to check the playlist below. I hope you have a fabulous day, and I'll see you again soon for another video.